go to the NFC North. Let's talk about the NFC North and my expectations for the NFC North. Obviously, in 2022, the Minnesota Vikings, they won the NFC North with a 13-4 record. The Lions finished the season in second place. They were 9-8. Packers 8-9. The Bears were 3-14. And heading into this year, the Lions are favored to win the NFC North with a plus 145 bet. The Vikings come in second place at plus 290. The Packers are a plus 400. Bears are a plus 450. Let's start off with the Minnesota Vikings. Last year, they finished 13-4. They are coached by Kevin O'Connell, and Kirk Cousins is their quarterback. Last year, Kirk Cousins had 29 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, 4,547 passing yards. Kirk Cousins had, I would say, a good season last year, but he's not their best player on their offense. The best player on their offense would happen to be Justin Jefferson. He had a tremendous season last year. 128 receptions, 1,809 receiving yards for 8 touchdowns. I believe Justin Jefferson is a top 3 receiver in the NFL, and he is what helps this Minnesota Vikings offense go. He is by far their best player offensively, and he was making a lot of plays last year in this Vikings offense. I mean, there were times where Kirk Cousins did not have nowhere to go with the football, and Justin Jefferson made something happen. I remember that game against the Buffalo Bills last year. Kirk Cousins was being pressured, just throws the ball up, and Justin Jefferson comes down with the football. Now, I got to be honest. Heading into the 2022 season, I said Jamar Chase was better than Justin Jefferson. Now, I think they're more on the same level. They're on the same level. Justin Jefferson and Jamar Chase, both players who played with Joe Burrow at LSU, I think they're on the same level. After that season that Jefferson had last year, you got to have him in that conversation with Jamar Chase, with Tyreek Hill, with Devontae Adams as a top 5 receiver in the NFL. He was balling last year in a big way for the Minnesota Vikings. Now, one of my biggest questions for the Vikings this year is going to be, how do they replace Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen? They lost both Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen. They let them both go and let them both walk. At running back, they're going to bring in Alexander Madison, and they did draft Jordan Addison out of USC. He's going to be their number 2 receiver in this offense. But the production that Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen has given the Vikings over the last few years, it's going to be missed. It's going to be missed. At tight end, you got T.J. Hockenson. I like Hockenson. I just drafted him last night on my fantasy team, so I got high expectations for Hockenson. And I expect his role to be much bigger now because Adam Thielen is in Carolina. So he's going to get more targets in 2023 that he didn't get in 2022. But I don't like their defense. Like, the Vikings' defense was horrible last year. They made Daniel Jones actually look like an elite quarterback in that wild card playoff game in Minnesota last year. That Vikings defense was awful last year. So I don't know if that defense is going to be improved or better. That's my biggest question on their football team as we head into the season this year. Like, will that defense be better? Now, I think they did bring in Brian Flores to help the defensive side of the ball. So he should help, but they have nowhere to go but up. Nowhere to go but up. Now, you look at the Green Bay Packers. Obviously, the Packers are transitioning from Aaron Rodgers to Jordan Love. And Jordan Love, I got to be honest, I expect Jordan Love to play well because I've heard a lot of positive remarks about Jordan Love so far in the preseason and also in training camp. We've been hearing about Jordan Love and how he's had command of the offense and how people feel like Jordan Love can be a good quarterback in the NFL. But I'm gonna say it again, and I said something before. I'm gonna say it again. We don't need Jordan Love to be Brett Favre. We don't need Jordan Love to be Aaron Rodgers. We need Jordan Love to be Jordan Love. Jordan Love doesn't have to be great. I think at Utah, when he started, he had like 60 touchdowns, 29 interceptions, 8,600 passing yards, I believe. So he's shown flashes that he can produce at a high level in the NFL. At college, I'm saying in college he played well at times at Utah. Now remember he had the one start a few years ago when Aaron Rodgers had COVID. He didn't play well against the Chiefs. He got beat by Mahomes. He didn't play well in that game. But remember last year, Aaron Rodgers gets injured against the Eagles. Jordan Love comes into the game, goes 6 of 9 passing, 113 passing yards, 1 touchdown, threw a dart to Christian Watson for a touchdown pass. And you look at the Packers and their mentality as we head into the 2023 season. I love it. This was defensive tackle Kenny Clark. This was in July. Kenny Clark says, this is on if the Packers are being disrespected. Kenny Clark says, quote, 100%. But that's cool. I like it that way. Everybody says Aaron determines whether we are going to win or lose, so we love it. We're going to embrace it. That was Kenny Clark on the doubters doubting the Packers as we head into the 2023 season. And I agree with Kenny Clark 100%. I love this approach. The Packers feel disrespected. But I look at the Packers' first 6 games of the season. I don't feel like the Packers and Jordan Love could have asked for a better opening 6 games of the season, considering he's going to be replacing 2 Hall of Fame quarterbacks. This is the Packers' first 6 games. At Chicago, at Atlanta. Week 3, they're home against the Saints. Week 4, they are home on a Thursday night against the Lions. They got to go to Las Vegas and play Jimmy G and the Raiders on a Monday night matchup in Week 5. And then Week 6, they are in Denver. I believe the Packers could start off the season 5-1, at worst, maybe even 4-2. I think they start off the season for sure 2-0. I think they're better than the Bears and the Falcons. The Saints game will be tough. They got Derek Carr and they got that defense. And the Lions game will be tough on that short week, but it's at Lambeau. But I could see the Packers starting off the season 4-2 at worst. And I believe that if Jordan Love can start off the season 4-2, maybe even 5-1, that will be something he can build upon as the season progresses, because he'll be able to have some confidence as we head into the second half of the season. So I love that schedule for the Packers. Now look at this. Let's compare the Packers' first 6 games to the Jets' first 6 games. Jets are going up against the Bills, Cowboys, Patriots, Chiefs, Broncos, Eagles. So it's a possibility, a huge possibility. Jordan Love could start off the season 4-2, and Aaron Rodgers could start the season 2-4. It's possible, ladies and gentlemen. It really, really is. And if that happens, I guarantee you the conversations will be different as we head into the second half of the season. Because I believe that General Manager Brian Gutekunst and head coach Matt LaFleur, they have to get this draft pick right. You pushed Aaron Rodgers out of town, so you have to get it right and make sure this draft pick is a home run if you are Brian Gutekunst and Matt LaFleur. Now, Matt LaFleur, I feel like Matt LaFleur is a good coach in the NFL. I'm not ready to say that Matt LaFleur is a great coach. Since he's been the head coach in Green Bay, Matt LaFleur, in the regular season, 47-19, so he's won 71% of his games. In the postseason, he's 2-3, so he's won 40% of his games in the postseason. But he was able to get to the playoffs in 3 out of his 4 seasons so far being the head coach because he had Aaron Rodgers. Now it's time to coach Matt LaFleur. I want to know if Matt LaFleur can actually coach, because he doesn't have the luxury to be able to depend on a Hall of Fame quarterback like Aaron Rodgers anymore. There were times last year where Matt LaFleur would have certain play calls in, and Aaron Rodgers would audible at the line of scrimmage. I don't expect that to be the case this season. So whatever play Matt LaFleur calls, that's the play that Jordan Love is going to run. So we're going to get a chance to find out if Matt LaFleur can actually coach. But I look at this Packers football team, and I look at them top to bottom. I love their team overall. Offensively, they got Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. I think that's the best running back duo in the NFL. At receiver, they are young, but they got Christian Watson, Romeo Doubs, Toure, Jalen Reed out of Michigan State. I love their receiving core. They have the youngest receiving core in the NFL. At tight end, they got Luke Musgrave and Tucker Kraft. They both drafted those two tight ends in this year's draft. So they're going to be security blankets for Jordan Love in this offense. The Packers got one of the best offensive lines in the NFL. You got Josh Myers, Elton Jenkins, David Bakhtiari. When he does play, he's effective. One of the best tackles in the NFL. Zach Tom, John Runyon. I love the Packers offensive line. And defensively, the Packers should be better in 2023, because in 2022, they underperformed. Let's just call it what it is. The Packers defense underperformed last year. But from a personnel standpoint, they got great personnel. You got Kenny Clark up front. You got T.J. Slayton, Devontae Wyatt. Okay, they did draft Lucas Van Ness from Iowa. You still got Preston Smith. At linebacker, you got Devondre Campbell, Quay Walker. In that secondary, you still got all-pro cornerback Jair Alexander. You got Rasul Douglas as well. Eric Stokes is going to be back at some point this season. And then I love them keeping Carrington Valentine. Valentine had a tremendous camp. He was performing at a high level in camp. So I look at this Packers team, and I feel like Jordan Love is going to be put in a position to be successful. He has the right pieces around him to be effective. So, yes, as a Packers fan, I am spoiled. I'm spoiled because Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers have spoiled me. So I have high expectations at the quarterback position. But again, Jordan, we don't need you to be Brett Favre. We don't need you to be Aaron Rodgers. We need you to be Jordan Love. And we don't need Jordan Love to necessarily win us games, but we damn sure can't afford for Jordan Love to lose us games. Let's look at the Detroit Lions. The Lions finished the season 9-8 last year. Obviously, they are led by head coach Dan Campbell, and their quarterback is Jared Goff. Jared Goff had quietly a good season in 2022. 29 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 4,438 passing yards. Jared Goff was impressive last year. He really, really was. And the Lions got hot towards the end of the season. They really, really got hot. And I thought they did a great job last year, even on defense. Defense that and I feel like that's going to be the Achilles heel of their football team. But I think they can be better this year on defense. I really, really do. You look at their team defensively, what they have on their team. Up front, you got Hutchinson. Remember, he's the draft pick from Michigan a few years ago. At linebacker, you got Jake Campbell. In that secondary, you got C.J. Gardner-Johnson. Okay, I expect the Lions to be better defensively. But the strength of their team is still their offense. And they have Jahmyr Gibbs at running back. They did bring in David Montgomery. He's the former running back from the Chicago Bears. He's a Cincinnati native. Shout out to my guy, David Montgomery. At receiver, you got Marvin Jones. You got St. Brown. You still got Josh Reynolds. So the Lions' strength of their football team is their offense. And can Jared Goff duplicate the success from 2022 in 2023? He played well last year. He really, really did. And remember that season finale in Green Bay where the Lions had an opportunity to, well, they needed help. The Lions needed help. If the Packers would have won in that week 17 matchup in Green Bay, they would have made the playoffs, or week 18. They would have made the playoffs had the Packers won that game, and they lost that game. And the Lions played well in that game. You look at the Lions and what they were able to do. Weeks 1 through 8, they were 1-6. Weeks 9 through 18, 8-2. What a turnaround for the Detroit Lions. Now let's go to the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears are led by Justin Fields. Last year, Justin Fields, he had a pretty decent season. He wasn't great, but he had a decent season. 17 touchdowns, 11 interceptions, not impressed. But they did bring in some weapons for Justin Fields. DJ Moore is on their team now. They did bring in Robert Tonyan. He's the former Green Bay Packers tight end. So they brought in some weapons for Justin Fields. And in his last 25 starts, Justin Fields is 5-20. So this is the year for Justin Fields to elevate his game and play better. He has to play better this season. I mean, the Bears organization, they put some weapons around Justin Fields. So they expect Justin Fields to play better. You know, and they still got Chase Claypool as well, and I like Chase Claypool. I really, really do. From Pittsburgh. So at receiver, you got DJ Moore and Chase Claypool as your receivers. At tight end, you got Robert Tonyan, Cole Kmet as well. Let's see what Justin Fields can do. We need to see Justin Fields be more effective as a pocket passer this season. We know how dynamic Justin Fields is in the open field and how he can make plays with his legs. We need to see him make plays with his arm this year. Because as great as he is at being able to run with the football, you need Justin Fields to be able to throw the football down the field effectively in the pocket. And so they added some weapons to be able to help him to be able to do that. So we got to see what he looks like. But I still don't have high expectations for the Bears. We'll see what happens, but I don't expect them to be a playoff team in the NFC. So my predictions for the NFC North are Yep. You see it. You see it. In the NFC North this year, I'm rolling with the Green Bay Packers to win the NFC North in the 2023 season. I got Packers at 1, Lions at 2. I do have the Lions as a playoff team in the NFC. Vikings at 3 and the Chicago Bears at 4. Yes, I'm rolling with my beloved Green Bay Packers to win the NFC North again. And this time, it won't be under Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. It's going to be under Jordan Love. Yes, I think the Packers have the best roster top to bottom in the NFC North. I expect Jordan Love to perform well throughout the season. He ain't got to be great. We got a good enough team for him to perform good, and we still be able to win games again. Jordan Love, You don't have to win us football games, but you cannot lose us football games this year. So those are my NFC North predictions. Packers at 1, Lions 2, Vikings 3, Bears coming in 4th for another season in the NFC North. But I do have the Lions as a playoff team in the NFC. I do. Vikings will miss the playoffs this year. They're going to be one of my teams that I feel like kind of struggles, during the regular season. And I think them losing Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen, those are tough individuals to overcome in their production. That's tough production to be able to overcome losing those two players. But yes, Packers winning the NFC North this year. Everybody go and follow Wise Guys on Twitter at Wise Guys.